Hi everyone, today we're going to be making the Clip and Go ID coin purse. That's this little pouch that you see here. This is a video tutorial that can be used if you purchase a kit or if you happen to be somebody who prefers to follow along with the pattern as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out and ask. Like I said, this pattern is available and it's linked below. It will be available in PDF form. It's also available in paper form, but that comes with a kit of cut up fabric already. And I also offer the fabric cut on its own. Okay, if you bought a kit with the pattern included, this is what comes in it. So this is how it looks. You will get your kit with your paper pattern and then all these items that you'll see here. So let's open it up so you can see. This is what comes in a kit. Now, this is also what you'll need to cut when you're making your own at home. So the pattern, of course, with pictures and instructions. Then you get a back piece of the exterior, a front piece of the exterior, 2 lining pieces, 2 pieces of interfacing, which you'll need to fuse to your exterior, your zipper, or if you're going to use zipper tape, that as well. Measurements are all in the pattern as well, so you guys know. In this little pouch here, you will get a few other things. You will get your key ring, your lobster hook. You will get a piece for your clear window, which is a piece of clear vinyl. You will get 2 pieces for your clear vinyl as well, one for the top, one for the bottom. This is the accent piece. You will get a piece for your keyring tab. And you will also get a zipper end, which is this one here. And as you can see, the keyring tab is more of a square. The zipper end is a rectangle. So the zipper tab is the zipper tab. The keyring tab is larger. Okay, now we're collecting all this, setting it aside to our ironing board, and we're going to prep everything here. Okay, so we're going to start with our accent pieces here. So these two are the ID window accent pieces, the keyring tab, and the zipper end, because they're all done exactly the same. As you can see here, these are the longer pieces. Okay, so we're going to start with one of our ID accent pieces, ID pocket ones. We're going to lay it right side down and fold it in half as you see here. Then we're going to iron it to make a crease right down the center. Remember, this is what you're going to be doing to your zipper end and your keychain tab as well. So you're going to do the same steps to those. Okay, now I'm going to open it up as you see here. And as you see, there's a crease down the center. So we're going to take one of the raw edges and fold it in to meet that crease. And we will be ironing that down as well. So now we're repeating that to the other side as well, which means both the raw edges of the long sides are meeting in the center crease that we made. Now, if you wanted to do both of these lines at the same time, you totally could. I usually do that, but for this tutorial, I figured I would show you one at a time. So this is what it's going to end up looking like once you have both edges meeting the center. Your last step with this is folding it in half once more so that you end up with no raw edges except on the short ends, and you're going to press it once more or iron it. And this is what it looks like. So now you'll repeat that with your second piece. So you end up with 2. And then you're going to repeat it with your keyring tab and your zipper end. Okay, so if you were doing this with waterproof canvas, you wouldn't be ironing it. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your piece of waterproof canvas, and this is going to be done to every piece exactly like you did with the cotton. So you're going to mark a line right down the center like I have here. You're going to get some double-sided tape and add it to the top and the bottom. Then peel off one side and have that edge meet the line you created. You're going to press, and then the double-sided tape is going to hold your side down. Now you're going to repeat it with the second side. I wouldn't add double-sided tape again here, like for the center to hold it down, just because you're going to need this piece to go over your vinyl, which you'll see later down when it comes time to piecing this together in just a bit. So what you're going to do is you're going to clip it and press it with your fingers as you go along to create the crease that you need in order to use it the way that you're going to use the cotton. Okay, so now you're going to do that to your other pieces, and then you're going to set them aside, and then you're going to get ready to fuse your interfacing to your outside or exterior pieces. That's what we're going to do next. As I mentioned, we're going to fuse our material. So we have here our two lining pieces. Those we're not going to use right now. We're going to set them to the side. We will be using our exterior, which in this case I have these little bees, and then our interfacing, which, like I said, in the kit is included cut to size. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay your interfacing shiny side up, and then lay your fabric piece wrong side down, so that the shiny side is meeting the wrong side of your fabric. Now we're going to get our iron and we're going to press with a little bit of pressure. I have mine set on the wool setting with the steam set on. I'm not going to go back and forth, because if you go back and forth, you're going to end up shifting your fabric before you have the glue melt to hold your fabric in place. So first you want to press, let the glue melt, let the steam hit, and then you can go back and forth just to make sure you got every single piece ironed down. And then you let it sit and cool. Now you're going to repeat that with your second piece. You're going to do the same exact thing that you did with your previous one. You're going to lay your interfacing shiny side up, your fabric wrong side down, and then you're going to press again, just with a little bit of pressure, not a lot. And then you can do the whole back and forth, so you can get every single piece attached to your interfacing. And then you're going to let that cool once again. Now, as you can see here, this has more stability now that we have our interfacing on and it's dry. And I'll show you the difference here. This is the back now. Now, when you grab your regular cotton, see, it's flimsy. And then when you grab the one that has the stabilizer, it's a little more sturdy. Not like cardboard, but more like cardstock. So I am going to stack this to the side, and I'm going to grab my zipper because we're going to get that one prepped. If you have a zipper and it happens to be wrinkled or it's bent in certain areas and you want to get it nice and crisp so that you don't have any weird puckering when you make your bag, just grab your iron, and after you lay your zipper teeth down, just add a little bit of pressure with some steam, and then it's going to make it nice and sturdy and crisp, and it'll be beautiful to use. So it's just a little tip. That's just for nylon zippers though, okay? So keep that in mind. So now we're going to move on over to the sewing machine. Okay, so now you need your clear vinyl and one of your accent pieces. You will need the open side of the accent piece to slide through the long side of this clear vinyl, just as I'm going to show you right here. So just start from the bottom and move all the way up to the top. You can place it on, but I personally like gliding it on so that I can actually get the perfect fit. So as you can see here, everything is lined up, and now we will be clipping the piece to the vinyl before we get to sewing it. So as you can see here, we clipped it on. This is what it should look like. We're going to turn this, and then let me show you real quick what it would look like if you added the waterproof canvas. So we have our piece of waterproof canvas. We had it clipped to the side. As you can see here, there's a natural crease now because we pressed it down and held it. And we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to slide it on. You can definitely do this here where you just place it on, but again, I'm going to slide it on, and then I'm going to clip it the same way that we clipped the previous one that I just showed you, which is the one that comes with the kit. But this is with waterproof canvas because I've made it with both. So we're just going to slowly clip it into place, as you see here. And then you would do the same exact thing that I do with the other one right now when I show you, which is sew it in place. Okay, back to our tutorial. So as you can see here, this is what your piece looks like once you clip your accent piece on. So we will be taking this and sewing it down on the part that's on the bottom and the top of this accent piece. We're going to start with what would be the bottom or the open piece because we don't want it to shift on us. So I'm going to flip this so that I can place it under my foot pedal here, and I'm going to sew it down. I'm going to be using 1/8 inch seam allowance here so that we can actually place it down. That's basically your top stitch or your basting stitch. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to go ahead and sew this down. Okay, so once you get here, you can back stitch, or you can turn it so you can sew the short end as well, and then turn it again so you could sew on the other side the way I did. If you just back stitch, then you'd snip, and then you'd turn your piece around and then sew on this other long side as well. But like I said, if you're going to do what I did here, which is sew on the short end and then go and sew on the long end again, that gives you almost like a U shape, and you don't have to cut the thread off when you're finishing sewing the first piece that you sewed. Now there you go. This is what it looks like. It's stitched on the top and the bottom, both sides of that accent piece. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other one. We're going to slide it in. This is the bottom part here. We're going to clip everything into place the way we previously did, but then we are going to sew it a little bit different. So you're not going to sew this top part, you're going to sew the open part only, which is the bottom here. The reason we're doing that is because the edge at the end, which is what I call the bottom part, is what's going to be used to attach to your other panel. So as you can see here, we're only sewing the side that's closest to the clear vinyl. That's the only side that we're sewing now. Okay, now we will be setting this aside so we can get our front panel. Okay, so you're either going to get your pattern piece if you have it, and then you're going to fold down on this dashed line. If you don't have the pattern piece, or if you just don't feel like adding the pattern piece to this part, you just have to make sure that you create a line right here to separate, and because we're going to cut this. So you're going to create a line 1 inch and 5/8 in from each side, so that your little side panels are 1 inch and 5/8. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to mark a line right there on both sides, so on your right and your left, and then that way we can cut that down. So as you can see here, I'm using my pattern piece. I am going in, and with my air erase pen, I am marking a line. As you can see here, there it is. That way I know that's where I'm cutting. Now I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to show you here what I do is I grab my pattern piece and I fold it on that dashed line all the way down, and then I'm going to lay it flat on top of my fabric once again, and then mark that as well. Now as you can see, we have a line on both sides. That's going to make our front panel into 3 pieces. So we're going to take our scissors and cut those out, because we need to piece our front panel together. So there's one side, here's the other side. And as you can see here, now our panel has been turned into 3 pieces, our center piece and our 2 small side panels. So we will now move the side panels to the side, because we're going to be working on our center piece. So we're going to get our center piece, and we're going to get our ruler again, and we will be measuring up to create a line from the bottom up. So from the bottom up, we're measuring 7/8 of an inch. And we're going to draw our line right there, 7/8 of an inch. And here's what we have. That's where our pocket will lie. So we're going to grab our clear pocket, and then we're going to take, you see the top that we did the two stitch lines on? We're not going to use that. We need the one where we didn't stitch on yet. That part's going to be lined up right to that line that we just created. So you have the section that didn't get sewed on yet lined up with the line we just made, and we're going to clip it in place. Make sure it's nice and even. This is what your piece should look like. So now we are going to check here. That would be the top of your pocket, and then we're going to sew down or baste in place from the side. We're going to baste down the bottom and the other side. So that's what we're going to sew right now. So under my presser foot it goes, and with our basting stitch, we're going to tack it down. So down it goes. Let me move the camera here so you guys can see a little bit better. Here we go. So we're going to sew this down, and we're just going to leave the top open, because that's where our ID pocket will open from. So we're just doing 3 stitched lines, the side, the bottom, and the other side. Okay, here's how it looks. Now you're going to have some excess coming out from the sides because we want a nice clean edge. We're going to end up turning this upside down so you can see where you need to cut the excess from. So as you can see here, I have some excess of the vinyl pocket, and I'm just going to trim that down on this side, and then I have a little bit on the other side as well. We're going to trim that down as well. Okay, the next step is bringing in our side panels that we created from our front, right? So we're going to lay them to make sure that they're going in the right direction, and then we're going to clip each one to the sides. So turn your center panel or centerpiece sideways, and then grab your side piece and then lay it on top to make sure it lays evenly, and then clip it in place. And you're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now you're going to sew those two sides together. So you're going to put that under your presser foot, and with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you're going to stitch both those pieces together on both sides. As you can see here, I'm doing the same thing to the other side. Now this is what it looks like. We're going to open up these flaps that we just created. As you can see here, the top opens up like we said. Now everything is stitched down in place, so there's no other opening. What we're going to do now is top stitch these flaps open. So you're going to press them with your finger real lightly, and then we're going to top stitch on both of those flaps. So here you see we're top stitching on this first flap, and then once this is done, we're going to move on to the other one. So this is what it looks like once it's top stitched, and then now we're going to flatten out the other side and top stitch that as well. Okay, so for now, this is what your panel should look like. You should have everything pieced together. You can see the top of the pocket here is open. The bottom should be closed now, so you should be all set. Our next step here is to create or sew up our keyring tab. So we fixed this earlier where we folded it down, we ironed it and everything. So now we need to sew it up. So we need to sew all around, all 4 sides at an 1/8 inch again, because that's just like a basting stitch. So we're going to do that all the way around so we can use this for our keyring. Now that you have your keyring tab done, grab your keyring and then slide it into the center like this, and then clip it in place. You can also baste that bottom section so it doesn't move, but clipping it should secure it fine. Next is our zipper. So if you're using zipper tape, you don't need to cut this down like this. You should already have it cut with your zipper pull in it. But if you're using a pre-made zipper, you're going to have to cut the bottom piece off to make it nice and flat. And then you're going to grab your zipper tab and then place it on the end to keep all the raw edge secure. You're going to clip it in place and then sew only on the open edge so that you can seal that end of the zipper onto your zipper end basically. And if you need help, you can always use a stiletto tool, kind of like the one I'm using here. I got mine on Etsy, but I'm sure I can find one that I can link for you guys from Amazon. I'll also link the Etsy one. Okay, so now we're going to finish up our front panel. We need our keyring tab, but first we need our ruler. We're going to have to measure down 1 inch on the left side. I do the left side of the panel just because that's where I like placing my keyring, but you can always do the right. It's up to you. I do the left. We mark it down 1 inch, and then that is where we're going to place our keyring. That's where I personally like this. Of course, you can totally change this to the other side if that's what you prefer. So you're going to grab your keychain tab that you already put together and put it right on the line that we marked, which is right below the 1 inch mark. You're going to put the raw edge against the side panel here, and you're going to baste that in place. Okay, here's how it looks now. Now, I personally end up adding my name tag on here. You don't have to do this, but if you happen to have a handmade tag, your business name tag, or just any little tag that you want to add, this is when I would do it. I would add it as you see right now. I'm grabbing mine. It's made out of satin. So what I'm doing is I'm folding it in half so that my raw edges get sewn into the seam. So I'm going to grab this little tool. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll also link it for you guys. And then I'm going to press that up against the satin to help me create a little crease to make it easier to place onto my front panel. Now, like I said, you could skip this if you're not going to add a name, if you're not planning on selling these, or if you're not adding anything special for anybody that you're giving it to. But if you are going to use any and you use little satin tags like this, this is where I would put it. Okay, here is your finished front panel. Pocket with your key ring and your little name tag if needed. You have a back panel as well and your 2 lining pieces plus your zipper. That's all that you should have now to work on finishing up your pouch. So now you're going to grab your back panel as you see here and your zipper. You will also need some sort of fabric pen and your ruler. And I personally like laying my zipper with the opening to the right and the zipper teeth down. Of course, you can do this however you'd like. This is just my preference. So you're going to get your ruler and your marking pen, and then you're going to make a mark on both sides of this panel, like the short sides. And your mark is going to be at 3/4 of an inch. And your zipper is basically going to lay right in that section. That's where your opening for your zipper should be. So grab your zipper tape, and with the teeth facing your right side of your fabric, so the teeth down, lay this with the zipper tab on that line that you made. And like I said, I put mine on the left, and this is the back panel, and then I'm going to clip it all the way down. Now you're going to baste this in place, and I'm going to show you how I do this without making the zipper into the 5-inch zipper ahead of time. But if you prefer to do this and make this the 5-inch zipper ahead of time, you feel free to do that. I'm going to show you exactly how I would do it right after this here. So you're going to baste this down, and then I'm going to keep an eye out on where my second mark is, so the mark on the other side. And then I'm going to look, see that it's there, and then with my finger, I'm going to place it on top of the zipper so I can see where it is. That's going to show me where to stop my zipper foot, as you can see here, or my sewing foot, sorry. So I'm going to open the zipper up, and then that means that I'm going to have to curve my zipper tail all the way to meet that line. So I'm going to curve it out. As you see here, you're creating a little curve by pulling the tail of the zipper to the right, but then the top of the curve is going to match or meet that line that we made. If you're doing this, please be very, very careful, because you do have your hands right where your needle is, and you could really hurt yourself. So if you don't feel comfortable doing this, please make your zipper into the 5-inch zipper ahead of time, and I'll show you real quick how to do that as well. As you see here now, it is curved out exactly at the spot where it needs to be curved out. Now, here's where I'm going to show you what you have to do if you're going to be working on it ahead of time. So you're going to get your zipper tape. You're going to split it open the way it's split right here as well. With the teeth facing up, you're going to make them find where your curve should be, and then just fold it out by hand like this. So you're going to fold it out, turn it into a little 90-degree angle, and then you're going to stitch right there where my thumb is to keep that in place so it doesn't shift. And then that way it's ready made, and you don't have to worry about having to put your hand under the needle while it's working. So that's how you would do it if you weren't doing it the way I did. That way your zipper is already ready made, and you can just place it down and then sew through instead of having to find where to turn the curve. Grab one of your lining pieces and lay it wrong side up, or right side meeting right side, like meeting your main fabric, and then clip that in place on the top where the zipper is sandwiched between your lining and your exterior fabric. Now that your zipper tape is, or your zipper is already curved, you don't have to worry about curving it anymore. So you're just gonna stitch all the way through from top to bottom here with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, all the way through with, like I said, your zipper sandwiched in between. Okay, this is what it looks like now when you open it up. You have your lining, your zipper in the middle, and then your exterior fabric. So you're going to press this open. So as you can see here, you're going to push your lining behind. So then now both wrong sides of the fabric are touching each other. You're going to clip it in place, and then you're going to press all the way across so that when you get to the other side, you're able to get another flat edge, and you can clip that also, because now we're going to top stitch, and we're going to top stitch the top of this piece here where the zipper is. So you're going to be top stitching right across all the way through, and then that's the end for this panel for now. Now you're going to grab your lining panel, the second one you have. You will lay that behind your zipper tape here, so on the back part. So you're going to clip it into place. The beauty here is you have the top that can line up to the top of the fabric, and then the side that'll line up to the side, as you can see here. So it'll make it easier for you to clip. And what you're going to do here is exactly the same thing you did previously, where you're stitching it down just with a basting stitch, and then you're gonna curve your zipper out. So as you can see here, I'm making a mark on my lining so I know exactly where I'm going to curve my zipper. Or if you already came with a pre-made zipper where you curved it out yourself previously, then you don't have to worry about that. You just stitch it all the way down. Now grab your front panel and do the same thing. Lay it front panel facing back panel, so fabric facing fabric, like the exterior, or the right side, sorry, and then clip that down as well. So now you'll be doing the same thing you did to the back panel, which is opening it up, flattening it out so that you can top stitch across the top where the zipper is. Now that your piece looks like this, open up the zipper and then match these top edges that you see here from the exterior. So the top exterior from the front and the back, and then clip it down. And you're going to do this all the way around, and then on the other side you're also going to clip down and after matching the edges. You're going to clip the bottom, and then you're going to do the same thing to the lining. You're going to clip the sides and the bottom. With the bottom, you're going to want to leave an opening. You're not going to sew that up, and I'm going to show you where you're going to leave that opening. So right here in the bottom, in between my thumbs, that's what's going to stay open. As you can see here, I am just going to sew starting from there. I'm going to start at a 3/8 inch seam allowance because it's my lining, and the lining needs to be a little bit smaller than the exterior. As you're getting closer to the center here where you're going to meet with the exterior, you're going to move your seam allowance to a 1/4 inch. All of the exterior will be sewn at a 1/4 inch, and then when you get back around to meet again to the lining, you're going to start at a 1/4 inch but continue in to 3/8 inch. Now go ahead and grab your scissors and cut all the corners. You're going to cut 4 corners, and then this section that we left open, which is the lining, we're going to use it to flip our pouch. So we're going to push through, and then we're going to use whatever little tool we might have, whether it be a crochet hook, a chopstick, or in my case, I have a little wooden stick that came with my batting from years ago when I was doing crochet, and I still have. You're going to poke your corners out. With your finger, you're going to go over by the zipper area here. You're going to push that out just like this. And then you're also going to push out the little corners for the lining. The reason you're going to do this is because you're going to end up using this to be able to close up this little hole that we left open. You're going to put a finger on each side and then pull tight so you can get it to do that. You can iron it if you want, but I'm just going to clip it, and I'm going to sew all across the bottom, not just in the section that's open. That way it makes it look like it's all one piece when it's sewn like that. And then when I push it in, it makes it a little easier to lay flat. So I'm going to finish sewing, and then once I'm done sewing, I'm going to push the lining into the pouch. And you can also use your tool here if needed. But once that's done, we have one last thing to do after closing this up. Well, actually two technically, if your pouch gets wrinkled like mine did. You are going to get your lobster clip, the little swivel hook, and you're going to attach it onto your keyring. So you're going to end up opening, like split your little keyring open, and then slide your swivel hook in, your little lobster claw. You see that right there? You're going to slide it in, and then you're all done. The very last thing I'm going to do is iron it, and I'm going to iron it really quick so I don't melt my vinyl. If you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer anything that didn't make sense. Thank you so much.